What's up, everybody? This is Pat with Infinite Fitness, and today I'm going to be teaching all of you how to bench press. So the bench press is a commonly misunderstood movement. A lot of times people think that you simply lay on the bench, pull the bar down to you, and push it back up, and that's it. Whereas it's much more technical than people make it out to be. I'm going to walk you guys through how I coach the bench press and how to avoid some common pitfalls that a lot of people run into when they're pressing.
The first part of a great bench press is a great setup. Now, when setting up, we want to think about 3 points of contact. Your upper back, your butt, and your feet should all be pressed into the floor and bench press pad. So first thing that we're going to do is tuck our feet back and push our shoulders towards our butt using the rack or bench press pad. We should be able to create enough space between our lower back and the bench to put our arm underneath us. As I said, a great way to do this is to grab onto the rack or bench press and push our shoulders towards our butt. Once you're in this nice arch position, we're going to grab the bar and we are ready to begin.
One common pitfall that people run into when setting up for a bench press is not creating enough lat tension. Now, the lats are just as important in a bench press as the chest, shoulders, and triceps are. In fact, I would argue that they might even be more important. Now, the importance of lat tension, the reason why it's so important is because the lats are your base to press off of. So it's kind of like if you were going to jump into the air, you wouldn't try to just lift off the ground. You push into the floor and your body goes upwards. It's the same concept. Your lats are connected to the bench, and it's basically your base to press off of to get the weight to move off of you. When setting tension in your lats, there's a couple things that you want to think of. So as you saw in the setup, we want to get a nice arch in your back. We basically want to lift your stomach up off the bench press pad. Now, once we do that, we're going to move through your shoulders. We want to think about pulling your shoulders backwards and towards your butt. Okay? And again, that's going to be backwards and towards your butt. Okay? So think about squeezing your upper back together and then trying to pull your shoulder blades down into your back pockets. This is a position that must be kept throughout the entire lift.
The next part of our bench press is going to be how wide we grip the bar. Now, everyone's grip is going to be in a slightly different position. The first thing we want to look at is the knurling on the bar. The knurling on the bar is the rough part of the bar seen here. Now, some bars will have a knurling in the middle, but all bars will have knurlings off to the side. Now, depending on how tall you are, will be dependent upon how wide you set up. Let's say you're somewhere in the 5'4" to 5'6" range or below. Generally, a great starting point would be to start a thumb length away from the inside of the knurling where the smooth part of the bar is. The way that we set this up is we make an L with our hand and extend our thumb, and that is how far we want to start away from where the knurling begins. Once you have that set up, you're going to wrap your hands around the bar and grip it tight. Now, if you're somewhere a little bit taller, let's say in the 5'8" to 5'10" range, or somewhere around there, a great place to start is with your pinky on the rings of the bar. Now, every bar is going to be slightly different, so if you do change gyms often, it's good to play around with your grip because the rings on the bar will generally be slightly differently spaced on every single bar. But we want to start with our pinky there. Now, if you are above 5'8" or 5'10", you can begin to go a little bit wider. You can experiment with your ring finger on the ring, or you could go to your middle finger on the ring, but everyone is still going to be slightly different. A great place to start is if you're within the heights that I mentioned, start with that particular grip position and play around with it. One important thing to remember is that whatever position you practice, you will get stronger in over time. The next part of our bench press is a perfect unrack. When unracking the barbell, we want to push into the floor to get the bar out of the rack. Now, the unrack is going to be two parts. It's going to be the initial raise off of the J-cups, and then the second part is pulling the barbell into the right position. When unracking the barbell, we want to push the feet into the floor and the shoulders into the bench. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and straighten your arms. After this, we are going to pull the barbell over top of where your scapula is. Now, it's important to pull the barbell into the right spot. When you're in the right position, the barbell will feel very balanced. If you're too high like this, you'll feel like you're getting pulled towards the rack. If you're too low, you'll feel like you're getting pulled towards your feet. We want to be right in the middle and balanced. Once we have the barbell in position, we're going to begin our descent. When descending, we do not want to pull the barbell straight down. That's going to put too much tension on our shoulders and will lead to a rotator cuff tear eventually. What you want to think about is pulling your elbows down at a 45-degree angle. So we're going to slightly tuck them and also pull them out to the sides at the same time. While we do this, we also want to think about arching our thoracic spine and lifting our chest up to the barbell. This will limit our range of motion and will ensure that the barbell touches the right place. An important piece to remember is that the barbell should touch you somewhere between your nipple line and your sternum. It'll be different for everyone, but this will allow us to get our chest, shoulders, and triceps involved in the movement all together. An important way to gauge if you're doing this correctly is to watch how the barbell is moving. If the barbell is moving in a slightly diagonal line, it means you're moving correctly. One thing to avoid when tucking your elbows in is letting your wrist collapse like this. Try to not let that happen. This particular angle illustrates what the bar path should look like. Notice how I'm pulling the bar down to the bottom of my chest and my arms are at about a 45-degree angle with my body. I'm not pulling the barbell straight down and flaring my elbows out. I'm keeping them slightly tucked in and they're at about a 45-degree angle. It's important to remember that a great press comes from the floor and the shoulder blades. Just like I stated earlier in the video, when you jump, you don't push into your head, you push into the floor. When trying to get the barbell off of you, think about pushing your feet into the ground and your shoulder blades into the bench. One thing that you want to avoid when pressing is letting your shoulders come off of the pad. We don't want to push too far and let your shoulders separate from the bench pad. It's important to remember that when pressing, less is more. We only want to move the barbell as far as we have to, not as far as we possibly can. Once you're at the top, before you rack, you want to hold the bar for a second before you bring it back to the rack. A mistake that many people make when pressing is on their last rep, instead of stopping at the top, they will try to go right for the rack, like this. Now, the problem with this is, if you miss the rep, you might drop it on your face. It also is teaching your brain to press the wrong way. So make sure to press up, hold, and then rack.
Well everyone, that's our video for today. Hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram. And as always, stay strong.